Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life with Mercedes. Today we are going to talk about when somebody gaslights you. We are going to get into this in some other videos because this is so prevalent. It is disturbing. Now, I know in recent years people have been, they're gaslighting me, and it's been really big in the social media world. But just for reference, the movie Gaslight came out in 1944, which I've never seen the movie, but from my understanding, a man convinces his wife that she is insane. I think he did things like adjusted the lights and told her that the lights weren't dimmed and different things like that. But I did not learn about gaslighting until I want to say I was like in my early 20s, so maybe like a decade ago, 12 years ago. And that was because I was really getting into therapy, and so I learned about it. But I am glad in a way that it is coming out more, especially in the last few years. But a lot of people aren't really using it in the right way, or some people are saying people are gaslighting them, but really they're the ones gaslighting and they're using it to kind of manipulate. And we'll talk about all that in other videos coming up. But what I wanted to talk about specifically today is acting confused is a form of gaslighting. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm sure we've all had conversations with people and then they conveniently didn't remember them, or they only remembered what they wanted to remember. Whole conversations, whole agreements, we never talked about that, but I don't understand, or like, let's say you're in a romantic relationship and you're like, hey, like, these are my boundaries, and you make it perfectly clear what you're not okay with and what like these are my deal breakers. And then you leave that situation and that person's like, well, I didn't know I couldn't talk to you any which way, or, I didn't know I could see other people behind your back, and it is really complicated because it's like, first of all, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Somebody shouldn't have to put those down as their boundaries. Like, that's just not how you treat somebody. But secondly, especially if you go out of your way and have these conversations, and then somebody acts confused. A great example, I know I've got a lot of Sister Wives fans out there. I am a Sister Wives fan. Sabin from Sister Wives. In case you guys have never seen the show, I'll just do a quick recap. Basically, this man is married to 4 women. He is a polygamist. They are all there willingly. They are all of age. It's all on the up and up in the beginning. And basically, he's supposed to spend every 4 nights with an individual wife. So each wife gets a night, and then he starts the rotation again. And this is, again, what they all agreed to. But there was a situation where 3 of his wives left him because he was neglectful and narcissistic and a whole big, thing. But the remaining wife, Sabin, she basically is like, she makes his face, I'm so confused. I don't understand. Why would they leave? And basically the husband was neglecting them and being financially neglectful of the other wives, and the other wives worked, and the wife that remains has never worked since she entered the family. And she had a nanny, she had I think a maid at one point, she had a $1 million house, while one of the wives was living in a camper. And the wife that was living in the camper actually was making the most income from the majority of the relationship than the other wives. And like, so the finances were not being distributed evenly, his time, his love, his energy. He spoke any which way to the other wives. And him and the wife that remains just sit there and act like they're making it up. Like, all 3 of the other women are making it up. the entire world is making it up, even though it's on camera and any of us can go at any time and see how he treated them throughout the years. And so when somebody acts confused, it is a form of gaslighting, but it also is a form of manipulation. And it is used to control people. So whether this person is a public figure, your neighbor, your significant other, your grown child, a coworker, a stranger on the street, it is not okay. And I'm informing you guys because I want you guys to be on the lookout for this. Sometimes people act confused and we feel sorry for them. Like, you know, I've been in situations where I've made excuses for people and we're like, well, they've got a lot on their plate. Like maybe they really don't remember, or, you know, things like that. But it's like there becomes a point where it's like they're choosing to act confused because they're trying to get away with something. They're trying to hoodwink you. Now, I do want to say there are exceptions. If somebody legitimately maybe has had head trauma, there are people that have short-term and long-term memory loss because of some sort of traumatic event or brain trauma. If somebody has Alzheimer's, dementia, or some sort of permanent disability. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about just like typically developing mentally with it people who act confused. It is a game, it is manipulation, it is gaslighting, and it is a form of control. And for me, I simply won't participate. I've had people in different situations do that, and some of them was like, yep, like we're like I'm not going to be a part of this. Like that person's not going to be in my life. But there are situations where maybe you aren't ready to cut people off, or maybe it's a situation where you kind of have to make it work with this person, like whether it be at work or maybe it's somebody you're co-parenting with or what have you. And I simply do not participate. I'm not going to argue with somebody. I know what I said. I know what you said. I know what we agreed upon. And like, I also want to kind of give the example. If you've ever watched the show Intervention, you notice in Intervention, like, so that's when somebody has a drug or alcohol problem and everybody gets together, family members and loved ones, and they're like, hey, we need you to stop. But what the therapists in those interventions stress is that everybody's got to be on the same page. So nobody can lend them money. Nobody can let them sleep on their couch anymore. No one can bail them out of jail ever again, and they like lay down stipulations. And a lot of the times the reason why these interventions don't work is because somebody agrees to these stipulations for the betterment of this person and they forget, or they don't really mean it, or they kind of act confused. This can also happen with parenting. I've had friends that were like, me and my significant other agreed that this was this was behavior we were not going to have. And they make exceptions and they forget that we had these conversations, and they're like, oh, well, I thought you only meant for that specific amount of time, or, this or that. And so things are kind of complicated as far as that. And some of these subjects I will be talking about another time. But I just want to let you know that if somebody is constantly acting confused, or acting confused when it's convenient, or when they're getting called out on something, it is fake. And unless they meet those stipulations I told you, have some sort of head trauma, or have been deemed incapable of making decisions by a court of law, or a small child, things like that. If they're not in any of those categories, it is a game, and they are trying to manipulate you and control you. So do not take people's crap, and just don't allow it, and try to come up with ways to be like, this is a boundary. You can't act confused all the time. And I mean, I know that it's easier said than done, but it's definitely something that I wanted to kind of put out there. So I hope that you guys got something out of this video. Please consider subscribing to my channel. If you did not know, I have an Instagram, The Frugal Life with a Mercedes. Until next time, guys, bye.